All right, welcome, everybody. So I failed the same Chinese proficiency exam 3 times before passing, and people ask me all the time, how did you learn Chinese as an adult? So it wasn't magic. It took around 4 years of daily effort, lessons, and a little obsession. And I became fluent, but not perfect, in Chinese in my 30s, and now I can read over 2,500 characters, which is basic literacy. And now I'll share what worked for me and how you can build your own path to learning Chinese, no matter your age. So I didn't start from zero with languages. I studied Spanish in high school and at the university level, and Japanese also in university. So learning how to learn languages wasn't exactly new to me. I did move to China, which helped, but just living there does not automatically make you fluent. What actually made the difference was one-on-one instruction. At first in person, but most of the time while I was in China, online. And in-person lessons can be better for some people, but they're not realistic for most learners. And online lessons can absolutely work, like they did for me. So this approach does cost money mostly for apps and private teachers, but it's far cheaper than university language programs, and real progress came from intentional, daily effort, not immersion alone. So you must have a strong reason to learn Chinese. Curiosity and genuine interest work far better than external pressure. And my personal reason was that I wanted to understand China, both historically and culturally, not just the language itself. And learning Chinese because of a job requirement, a class, or because someone told you to rarely works long term. Motivation needs to come from inside. And discipline is necessary, yes, but motivation bordering on fascination or mild obsession is what keeps you showing up every day for years. And for me, that meant learning more about one of the world's most important civilizations, both historically and today. And if you're learning Chinese for reasons that excite you, you'll push through the boring or frustrating parts, like character memorization, tone drills, or grammar exercises. And a combination of intrinsic interest and daily discipline is what makes sustained progress possible, especially as an adult learner. So speaking Chinese is hard, especially if you're shy, but you have to get comfortable making mistakes. They're inevitable. And trying to be perfect slows you down. So tones first. Learn the four tones plus a neutral tone individually. Practice listening and mimicking each tone in isolation, then in words. And many learners hit a wall here because tones can completely change the meaning of a word. So don't skip this step. Also, teacher correction was very crucial for me for hearing the differences between the tones clearly. And while I was in China at first, I relied completely on Chinese American teachers for daily tasks, ordering food, handling deliveries, giving taxi directions. I couldn't function independently or get much real speaking practice yet. But one-on-one lessons forced me to speak. Mistakes meant learning, and gradually I began functioning independently and speaking more confidently, which allowed me to practice Chinese with native speakers in daily life. But if you're not in China, there are still ways to get speaking practice. Apps like HelloTalk or OMA TV work really well because they allow video chat with native speakers worldwide. So short, frequent practice is better than occasional long sessions. Speaking confidence develops slowly, like endurance training. You can't rush it. And listening to Chinese is challenging. Words sound fast, and tones matter in context. It can feel overwhelming at first, but graded reader apps like Do Chinese and The Chairman's Bow were incredibly helpful to me. They include audio recordings with native speakers reading short stories aloud that you can follow along with the text. Also, they have content that ranges from complete beginner to intermediate to near native levels, and these apps help you build recognition of characters and grammar patterns while improving both listening skills and reading. Also, immersing yourself in Chinese entertainment helps. Chinese shows, donghua, basically Chinese anime, and video games made in China can help. But admittedly, Chinese media is less abundant than Japanese media, for example, so it requires a bit of searching. And I found Pleco to be an essential tool as a dictionary and for translation, with helpful audio for pronunciation. And remember, even 10 to 15 minutes of daily reading and listening practice compounds over time. And this combination of structured reading and listening exposure helps your brain start thinking in Chinese naturally. So for most learners, Chinese characters can be frustrating, and there's debate about whether they're necessary in lessons. But I started learning them from day one, helped a bit by my experience with Japanese. But Chinese characters are crucial for moving from intermediate to advanced because they build vocabulary. And this is how I made learning Chinese characters manageable. I would study words in context with my teacher, not isolated characters, and I would use flashcards like Duplico or Anki to memorize new vocabulary. And also, I would break learning into small chunks with each lesson to avoid feeling overwhelmed. And also, for me, daily short bursts of practice were key. And handwriting early helps understand structure and radicals, the individual components of Chinese characters, give clues to meaning. And you don't need to write every character by hand to communicate or type, but initial practice helps to internalize Chinese characters. And also, tools like Scritter are excellent for practicing writing digitally, combining handwriting with spaced repetition. But most native speakers type characters daily. So learning to type is a practical skill for real-world Chinese. And also, I do enjoy Chinese characters and find them beautiful, but consistency matters more than enjoyment. And gamified apps like Duolingo or Hello Chinese are great for beginners to lower intermediate learners. They make learning fun, they provide structure, and they allow daily practice. But they work best in combination with other methods, like lessons with a teacher, rather than as a standalone solution. And my one-on-one lessons were largely self-guided, not part of any fancy university immersion program. I followed the lessons, which were mostly online, did homework, and practiced consistently on my own, which built real progress over time. And online lessons can absolutely work, like they did for me, no matter where you live, making this approach accessible to almost anyone. And progress comes from consistent effort and structured practice, not credentials, fancy programs, or expensive classes. And this approach does require some money for apps and one-on-one teachers, but it's far less expensive than university classes and much more flexible. So the core principle of learning Chinese is to show up every day. Learning Chinese is like building physical fitness. Small, consistent effort compounds over time. So combine study, practice, and homework daily. Even short sessions add up. And for lessons, 1 to 3 lessons a week is common, but ideally daily lessons would accelerate progress. Also, in-person lessons are great, even better for some people, but online lessons work anywhere, making it possible for almost anyone to access quality instruction. And consistency builds fluency. Small daily actions are more effective than occasional intensive sessions. And also, HSK 6 used to be the highest official Chinese proficiency exam on the mainland, but now HSK 7 to 9 exists, and HSK 6 tests knowledge of more than 2,500 Chinese characters and advanced grammar. But I failed the exam 3 times before finally passing. But what this taught me is that persistence, structured study, and daily practice pay off. So learning Chinese isn't about perfection, it's about showing up, improving gradually, and sticking with it above all. So anyway, just to sum up here, there's no need for perfection or elite programs. Fluency in Chinese is possible with smart, consistent practice. Intrinsic curiosity, patience, and persistence are the keys to long-term success. And progress may feel invisible at first, but daily effort compounds over time. And above all, showing up every day, building your own path, and enjoying the journey of learning Chinese is what truly matters. And fluency as an adult is very much possible. You just need discipline, motivation, and a structured approach that works for you. And we're done today. Thanks everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. I have many more coming just like it. And also maybe leave a comment if you will. Do you have any advice for somebody maybe learning Chinese or what worked for you learning Chinese? I would be curious to know, and I'll see everybody for next time.